Hi all, welcome back to the channel again. Hope you're all doing okay. Yeah, I know I only uploaded a video yesterday, but I wanted to cover this story about the shake-up of the Grand Prix weekend. Here we go. Dominicali then confirmed in an interview with Sky Sports F1 that he is not looking to completely abandon all practice sessions, but says it would be wrong not to consider changes to the existing format. Sprint weekends were introduced in 2021, changing the format of some of the races by moving the qualifying event to Friday and giving fans a shorter race on Saturdays to decide the starting order for Sunday's Grand Prix. This trial was a success, leading to more sprint weekends in 2022 and 2023, but could practice be the next part of the Formula One weekend to be tweaked? Of course, there needs to be the time for practice, but the people are coming to see the performance, and the more that they give that you give the teams and drivers the chance to see what they are, the better it is for the show. Dominicali told Sky Sports, "It's not because we don't respect the traditions, we respect the old way of thinking of our weekend, but it would be wrong not to think about it. We also have a new generation that are coming in that are more aggressive in asking for something different. What are the proposed plans for the sprint weekend? Most F1 weekends see 3 practice sessions, 2 on a Friday and a further one on Saturday morning ahead of qualifying and a traditional Sunday race. It is understood that the preferred new format would involve just 1 practice session. There would then be qualifying sessions, a sprint and a Grand Prix. So if you break it down, it looks something pretty much like this, what you can see on the screen now. Friday AM you'd have practice. In the afternoon you'd have qualifying for the Grand Prix on Sunday, which I think is a good move. Saturday in the morning, 1 lap qualifying for the sprint race, and in the afternoon you'd have the sprint. And on Sunday you would get your traditional Grand Prix. So anyway, while these plans are yet to be confirmed, the drivers have shared their opinions on the idea. Incredibly, Red Bull's Max Verstappen has suggested he won't be around for too long if more sprint races come into the F1 weekend. Even if you change the format, I don't find this is in the DNA of Formula One to do these kinds of sprint races, and I agree with him. He said, "I hope there won't be too many changes, otherwise I won't be around for too long. I am not a fan of it at all. When we do all that kind of stuff, the weekend becomes very intense, and we already do a lot of races, but it is not the right way to go about it. I understand that they want to have every day exciting, but then I think it's better to just reduce the weekend, only race the Saturday and Sunday, and if you start adding even more stuff, it's not worth it for me. I'm not enjoying that." Anyway, Mercedes' George Russell, who won the last sprint race in Brazil, if you remember last year, was on the side of the fans who felt that there was too much practice. "I don't think it's right that Formula One has 3 times the amount of practice that you have in F3 and F2, said Russell. However, Russell underlined his view that practice should not be scrapped altogether to ensure Formula One's technology remains at the cutting edge. "No practice would be too little," said Russell. "This is still the pinnacle of the sport, and you don't want to be just left with the car that you created at the start of the year with no opportunity to try out new things." Well, that's what's happened. Whereas if you're going straight into a session that is points worthy or there is a reward, you are less likely to try on new things on the car. Russell's Mercedes teammate, Sir Lewis Hamilton, said it was cool that F1 were experimenting with the weekend format, but called on the sport to find alternatives for unusual circuits like Monaco, where sprints may not be the solution. "There's definitely places where it's not going to be good," said the 7-time world champion, "but I think we can be more dynamic and look at places like Monaco. Perhaps there is a different solution to make it more engaging for the fans. We can use sprint races in some places. Perhaps there's something else we can do. I like the format from the sprint race weekend where you have that 1 practice session. There's a lot of pressure just to get that right, and then you're straight into qualifying. Anyway, on to Martin Brundle. Sky Sports F1's Martin Brundle is not convinced by the proposed changes, saying, "I like the format we have got at the moment. I don't know why we are already messing around with the sprint concept, if I'm honest. I don't see why it needs to be a standalone. The teams and the drivers love certainty, then the fans want to sit down and watch uncertainty, which they certainly had in Melbourne." That's true. The whole purpose of the sprint race, and it has worked on a number of occasions already, was to maybe just spice up the actual race day grid a little bit. Brundle was speaking on the Monday that followed the quite dramatic Australian Grand Prix, eventually won by Max, as we know. Despite the Dutchman's comments against proposed changes, Brundle doubts the double world champion will walk away from F1 as a consequence. "I would be surprised, but if he doesn't want to drive it, there are a million other people who would want to drive the Red Bull," he said. "I think what he is trying to say is don't mess around too much, let's evolve and don't go changing the ground rules. I get his point on that, but I don't really see why they would make him why that would make him stop." So anyway, I did read these comments from Stefano Domenicali. It was a couple of days ago, I think, maybe a week ago, and I thought it was just a throwaway comment. But me, I dislike the sprint races in its current format. So, with this proposed change, if they are going to introduce sprint races, with the, well, I'll put it on screen now. At least then, instead of previously, I believe that qualifying should always set the grid for Sunday. Regardless, you shouldn't have a sprint race chucked in between qualifying and the race on Sunday to set the grid for Sunday. So if they're going to introduce sprint races, this is much better because it takes away that whole sprint setting the Sunday grid, and qualifying will then set the Sunday grid, which I think is the right way to go if they're going to put these sprint races in. Not a fan of sprint races at all. I think it's a bit gimmicky. But as I said previously, I agree with Max. I think he's on the money with this. He's spot on. And I can't really see the point in having a one-lap sprint qualifying. What is the point? It just makes no sense to me. I mean, yeah, all right, I can understand it. If you have a bad lap, then, you're not going to do that well out of it. But I just can't get my head around this, and I can't see the point. But anyway, I've got another video coming out tomorrow, so if you like what I do, please like and subscribe, and press the bell, and you'll get notified when I upload that video tomorrow. But let me have your thoughts. Do you like sprint? Are you looking forward to this new format? If so, just let me know. And until the next time, take care.